Hey there, day 226 of life, according to YoBo, a life with no mess, no stress, no BS. Welcome back. You can watch my videos on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can go to YoBoProductions.com to order these books. Continuing in the story of the life and death of Mattie, Canton, Bowie. All that is a pretty way to say what happens when you want to fight your husband's girlfriend. Oh, Lord. Y'all know Grandma Lula has turned over in her grave. Now, let me put this disclaimer out there. To the Canton family, to the Earls family, I am not throwing Grandma Lula under the bus. I'm simply telling a story of family dysfunction. Everybody watching this video, take a moment to think about something dysfunctional in your family. How do we deal with the dysfunction? Same way. Go back, watch day 224, day 225. Picking up right now with 225. Walking out the door. Wait a minute. I got my notes. Hold on a minute. I'm forgetting something. I want to make sure. Here we go. Walking out the door. The children, 4 children, traumatized, have just witnessed their mother's murder. The mother's body is lying at the creek. Been there for hours. The sheriff comes. The coroner comes. The children are now taken back home. The Bowie family is preparing her body for burial. This is my grandmother. The grandmother I never knew. 11 grandchildren she never met because she wanted to be acting stupid and acting a fool, fighting some woman over her husband. Now she dead. They're preparing her body for burial. Her husband's had to hitchhike to Geneva to tell her family she's dead. They all come back. Okay, we're talking about the children now. So much has happened. So much has happened. These children have seen so much in a few hours. And as they're sitting there, through the door, a few hours later, comes their grandma and grandpa. Just imagine how they felt. Grandma to the rescue. Grandpa to the rescue. They're going to make everything right. But what do? Grandma snatches the children. Grandma tells them, you better not ever say anything about your mother. If anybody asks you about your mother, you say, we don't talk about our mother. I promise y'all, them 4 children, ask them something about their mother, and what do they say? We don't talk about our mother. Now you should be wondering, well, YoBo, if they don't talk about the mother, why have you made reference to things your mother told you about the day she died? Get ready to tell you. Got my little notes right here. My brother Eric had the presence of mind to get my mother into therapy. She was about 68 at the time. It was a little bit too late because by then the dementia had begun to set in. But at least he knew she needs to get the professional help that she did not get years earlier. Okay. Anytime there is a traumatic event in the life, especially of a child, you can't sweep that under the rug. That was Grandma Lula's solution. We're not going to talk about this. So now you got 4 children, and all 4 of them suffered from some form of mental illness. All 4 of them. My mother had epilepsy. One of the brothers had depression. And Helen had, my sister gave me the medical term for it. It's, when you don't want to leave the house. That was her. She just did not leave the house. When there is mental illness or something traumatic that has occurred in the life of a person and you don't deal with it, it's going to always manifest itself in the physical realm. Thank God Mama and her siblings weren't violent. Violent. That's what I want to say. I'm looking at my notes at the same time. But nevertheless, they were all traumatized in different ways. And they had to learn how to cope with this trauma. But their grandmother was no help. Because Grandma said, you are not to talk about your mother, not even among each other. Right now, I'm in the state of Virginia, 10 days here to babysit my great niece. We are Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday, 6 days since her parents have been gone. So when she goes to bed at night, she says, I miss my mommy. When she wakes up in the morning, she says, I miss my mommy. When it was time to go to school today, she said, I miss my mommy. She's 6 years old. She's the same age that my mother was when Mama witnessed the death of her mother. But my mother couldn't go to Grandma and say, I miss my mommy, because Grandma Lula said, we're not going to talk about this, okay? And when I finished the day 225 message, I told you all, I called a cousin. You find those notes. I was just wondering. So when Grandma Lula said, we're not going to talk about this, did they not talk about it? Or what were people told? So I called one of the older relatives. Grandma Lula had a brother. His name was Jasper Earls. He and his wife, Easter Cook, had no children. So they had an adopted daughter whom they raised. They were an older couple. She was younger. So I thought, let me call her, since Grandma Lula's brother raised her. Let me find out what kind of lie they told about my grandmother's death. Ring, ring. I say, hello. I know it's early. I know you're on your way out, but I have a quick question. She said, oh yeah, baby, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. I said, let me ask you, what story were you told about my grandmother's death? She said, your grandmother? I said, yeah, Grandma Lula's daughter. Lula who? Is what she said. I said, my grandmother, Lula Canton. What story were you told about her daughter's death? Oh, now I'm reading. Got my notes here. Oh, she didn't have but one daughter, and she lived up here in Dallas. I said, no, she had two daughters. My grandmother, Mattie Canton. Oh, I never did hear the old folks say that. Aunt East would tell me about the family, but she never said anything about that. I said, well, she had two daughters. I didn't know nothing about her. That must have got by Aunt East. The only sister she ever talked about was Vasti. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah. Now she's curious. This woman is almost 80 years old. She said, was she married? I said, well, yes, she was married. She had 4 children, one of whom was my mother. She said, oh, really? I said, who did you think my mother's parents were? She said, you know, I never thought about it. They were always with Mama Lula. I said, yeah. I said, you knew Helen, Maxon, WM, and Jewel? Well, yeah, that was their mother. Oh, well, what happened to her? I said, she was murdered. Your grandmother was murdered? Yeah. Do they know who did it? I said, yeah, her husband's girlfriend murdered her. Some woman murdered her? Yeah. Woo! That's when she cussed. Our family, we need to make a movie. Girl, I'm going to make some cakes. I'm going to sell some cakes and make some money so that we can make a movie about our family. And I'm just listening to her. She's in shock. She said, girl, please. That one got me. Nobody never told me Mama Lula had another daughter. Did I just say she was raised by Grandma Lula's brother? So when they left there and Grandma Lula said, we ain't talking about this no more, they didn't talk about it anymore. This cousin would have been born maybe 5 years after my grandmother's death. Maybe 10 years after my grandmother's death. But nope, nobody said a word. What's the moral of the story for today? When you make an emotional decision, I guarantee you, it will always be the wrong decision. We all have made emotional decisions. In this particular case, I just love him. She better leave my man alone. And then you go out and you make an emotional decision. Sometimes we make emotional decisions in the mall. Ooh, look at those shoes. I just got to have those shoes. But the only money you have is your rent money. And you leave the mall with that pair of shoes. Or in my case, I know I'm not supposed to have another scoop of ice cream, but I'm going to have one anyway. My grandmother was led by her emotions. Cost her life. It cost her children's life. My great-grandfather, her dad, was led by his emotions. He saw the men cutting wood to make a homemade casket, and he said, oh, hell no. Remember, this is the hoity-toity family. Over my dead body am I going to stay here and watch them put my daughter in a wood box. Let's go. You ain't thought about the children need closure. Their mother is dead. The children can't go to their mama's funeral. Oh, hell no. No. Because he ain't going to sit there and watch it. So they all leave. Grandma Lula, she didn't make it any better. Led by her emotions, she's so worried about what people are going to think about her daughter and the events leading up to her daughter's death. So guess what? We're going to pretend like this never happened. They do it in your family, and they do it in mine. Because that cousin that I talked to today, I can't even say her name, unfortunately. Because she's one that people pretend like they don't know where she came from. Oh, everybody know where she came from. I'm calling her a cousin. Some people ain't going to call her a cousin. See how we hide and how we fake in front and we pretend? Everybody know where she came from. Everybody know who child she really is. Oh, but we don't talk about that. Come back tomorrow, because I'm going to talk some more about Mattie, Canton, Bowie. Now, where are we going to next? Oh, Lord. I'm looking at these notes right here. I don't even want to. I hate I made these notes. I don't even like looking at them. All right, y'all come back tomorrow for day 227 of life according to YoBo. Don't do nothing stupid, okay? You see what happens when you make stupid decisions. All right, y'all. Bye-bye.